What is going on, party people? It's your boy Lucky, and today I just watched the 4-episode series Marvel Zombies that aired on Disney Plus, and we're going to talk about it. The good, the bad, what I liked, what I didn't like. But first things first, if you like nerdy content just like this, stick around with us. Click that bell to be notified anytime we post content. Like, share, and subscribe to join the BP Fun community today. Now let's get into it. This was a highly anticipated show coming from Disney Plus. Obviously it's animated, and I know a lot of the Marvel community has been talking about, when are we going to get zombies in any form of media? Well, it's here, and I'm happy to report that, in my opinion, it was pretty good. To kind of break down the story of Marvel Zombies, we follow a bunch of different characters. First things first, we are introduced to Kamala Khan, Kate Bishop, and we're introduced to Riri. Obviously, if you have watched Ironheart, you know who Riri is. Those are the three main characters that we're introduced to in the first episode. This looks to be in New York City, and it is 5 years after the infection started from the zombies, and they're kind of going out and scavenging to see what they can find, if there's any help that they can use, and they are intercepted by zombies in the middle of New York City, one zombie being Hawkeye himself, which Kate Bishop and co have to fight. And they find this little transmitter that is in a ship that crashed in the middle of New York City. It looked like they were trying to get the transmitter to someone who could potentially help with this zombie apocalypse taking place in the Marvel universe that we are in. And the first episode, I gotta say, was okay. I was watching it and there was definitely some lulls, but as any first episode, you have to be introduced to the environment and into the characters, right? We have to know what we're getting into, and there's some good bits of information throughout this. Basically, towards the end of episode 1, they see that they have to get that transmitter to none other than my home state, Ohio. There's someone there that can help them with making the call to seek help for this infestation of zombies, and they have all kind of collectively decided that they are going to take the journey to Ohio and try and figure out what is going on. At the end of the episode, we are then introduced to Captain Marvel and I believe Adam Warlock. I'm not sure, they don't really express who this character is that's fighting Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel is indeed a zombie, and they are kind of on the outskirts of the city, or they're in like a deserty area in Riri's truck along with Riri's friend Friday, which is like an AI kind of version of Iron Man, I guess, in the full Iron Man suit with a teddy bear head on it. I'm not quite sure what that is, but I believe that's like an AI companion of Riri's. Captain Marvel is basically trying to track them down. I believe Adam Warlock, but it's never discussed, and the character never says a word in this episode, and that's the only time we see this character. So he's trying to fight Captain Marvel, and Captain Marvel is beating him down basically, and Kate Bishop and Riri sacrifice themselves to stop Captain Marvel from getting to Kamala, which is our main character throughout this 4-episode series. We're going to be talking a lot about Kamala. They are able to sacrifice themselves. Kate Bishop gets completely eviscerated by a blast from Captain Marvel, and what happens to Riri is kind of mysterious. She stays behind to take on the Horde. Kamala is ended up saved by Blade himself on a motorcycle, but not only is he Blade in this series, he is also Moon Knight, and that is kind of the end of episode 1. So I would give episode 1 probably like a 6 out of 10. Let's jump to episode 2. We are now thrust into the center of Shang-Chi and Katie running from the Horde 5 years ago. It's a flashback when I guess the zombies started to take over, and we see them running through the city and thousands of people dying. It's pretty intense, and we see that Shang-Chi doesn't have the rings yet, but he ends up getting the rings from his father, who towards the middle section of them running comes in on a jet with a death dealer, and he takes out an entire horde. Shang-Chi gets bit, to which the father ends up giving Shang-Chi the reins. It's pretty cool to kind of see Shang-Chi and Katie again, since it's been a couple years since I've seen the MCU Shang-Chi movie. It's fantastic. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. This episode really kind of leans on Shang-Chi's experience during the outbreak and the little group that they have going on. on. We now meet up with Shang-Chi, Katie, Kamala, Blade, and their friends that they met at the end of episode 1, Yelena and the Red Guardian. Obviously, love the Red Guardian, but that whole dynamic between the Red Guardian meeting Shang-Chi was cool. There's not a lot of weight to this story, I guess is what I'm getting at. Episode 3 was probably my favorite because we got some glimpses of Spider-Man. We got some glimpses of Scott Lang, which is the newer Ant-Man. And we finally discovered that the Queen of the Dead, the one who's leading this whole thing, is none other than Wanda Maximoff. So it's kind of a big face-off between Kamala and Wanda. I like Scarlet Witch a lot, but I've never been a big Kamala fan throughout her series, and just Marvel in general. I've never been a big fan of them pushing Kamala so hard, so that kind of deducts a point for me. Her character to me is, while interesting in bits, falls flat in others, and that's really due to the writing. I wasn't a big fan of the Marvels. I felt like her writing was a little bit flat. I would have liked something a little bit better. She's kind of a big fangirl in everything that I see, and she should be more individually wrapped, I guess, instead of just fangirling over all the other characters. I would like to see Kamala kind of take her own stance and be her own strong personality of a character. And in this show, it's quite similar, where she is a big fangirl of all the other characters that she's meeting, right? We get to see Thor throughout it. We get to see some really cool fight scenes in Marvel Zombies as well. One of the ones that really sticks out to me is Blade/Moon Knight versus Ghost. The animation for that went crazy. It went insane. Shang-Chi as well. Every fight scene with Shang-Chi and Katie, because they both have the rings in this 4-episode series, really stood out to me. I like the usage of the rings in every fight. They look really damn good, really clean, and there's a lot of death, and it lives up to the hype of, I guess, what you would consider Marvel Zombies, right? There's a lot of blood, a lot of guts. They don't really not show anything. Obviously, it does lack the cursing like any Marvel project does. There's not a lot of cursing, but like the blood, the guts, the fight scenes are really neat. And one of my favorite things that stood out to me was Infinity Hulk. So in this series, they break down that Thanos, as a zombie, had the Infinity Gauntlet and the Infinity Stones. Spider-Man, Scott Lang, and Black Panther went up against zombie Thanos, and Black Panther essentially sacrificed himself to knock Thanos basically into like this giant, I want to say, crater that has like a generator in it. So all of that infinity power was going across the globe, and that was the Wakanda event that they mentioned a couple times throughout the series, where it's like destroying everything around the world, and the colors obviously look crazy and really cool, but they needed a conduit to hold the power of the Infinity Stones within themselves, and the only person strong enough to do such a thing would be Hulk. So Hulk sacrifices himself, becomes a conduit to hold these powers, but Wanda Maximoff is trying to get the powers from Hulk so that she can basically do whatever her end goal is, which she's very vague on in this series. We see that she wants to fix everything is what she says, but I don't believe that's the case, because while they're fighting her, as long as Wanda just turned people back from zombies, it would be completely fine, because Hulk is holding all that power. He's now a conduit. He's Infinity Hulk, and the world can start healing. But essentially, Wanda wants all that power for herself, and the show ends up leaving on like a cliffhanger because it's just a 4-episode story. So basically, Kamala ends up giving in to Scarlet Witch's wants, where she is wanting Kamala to join her. At the end of the battle in episode 4, she sees all of her friends dying and getting torn up by zombies. We see Spider-Man basically getting his head chomped on. We see Blade getting turned to just ash, basically. We see Shang-Chi and Katie fighting against their zombie friends, and Kamala basically gets overwhelmed in this scene, and she takes Wanda's hand as to suggest that Wanda and Kamala are teaming up. Wanda says at the end, essentially, that the world will start again. And we see this like dream sequence where Kamala is talking to her friends Riri and Kate Bishop, who we know are gone, and it feels like almost all of that was a dream dream, but then Riri is able to talk to Kamala through like a transmitter sequence saying that it's all fake. She's still alive fighting said zombies, and Kamala needs to wake up out of the spell, and that's where it leaves off. So all in all, Marvel Zombies is a pretty good time, especially if you love the blood and the gore. The story is kind of meh, whatever. I'm going to go ahead and give Marvel Zombies a 7 out of 10. I thought the animation at times was a little bit wonky, but the fight sequences that they did with it and the lights and just overall the way everything looked was pretty clean. And to top it off, who doesn't love zombies getting their heads bashed in, right guys? Especially around this time of year as we're stepping into October. But as always, this is Lucky. Leave a comment down below what you guys thought about Marvel Zombies, and I will catch you guys in the next one. As always, this is Lucky. I'll see you guys later.